I have the great pleasure of introducing our first speaker today, Diana Ortega. She's a software developer at Publicis Sapient in France. In this talk, Diana will show some techniques to produce logs, aggregate them using a log aggregation system, and then use dashboards to analyze those logs. Diana, if you can hear me, can you please unmute and say hello to the world?
Hello. Yeah, I'm just looking for the right button. Yeah. Hello. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for joining us. How are you feeling today? Lovely background. How are you feeling?
Yeah, this is quite difficult. It's my first time, I think, in this kind of format. It's quite difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like you have no one to get feedback from. But you'll be happy to know Angelica and I are here. So if you feel like you need anything, feel free to ping us. Good luck.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Today I'm going to talk about some practice for log aggregation and centralization. My name is Diana Ortega. I am a software developer at Publicis France, and I work as a consultant in my company. I am also the co-organizer of the Women Who Go Paris meetup. I would like to share with you some practice to centralize logs for helping you to better exploit them. Those are some practices that I have found or not in some projects I have working. And I would like to share with you the things I feel are important when developing your application. Even if those are basic things, sometimes we just forget them. I think it's important to remember. For doing that, I have organized this talk in 3 sections. I'm going to talk about context. Then I'm going to talk about how to generate and write logs. I'm going to finish with a demo. It's a long demo. So, let's start. I want to speak about observability because when you are writing an application, it doesn't matter the language. You want to debug and know how it's going. That is why observability is important. Is being able to debug my system. Is having the tools or solutions that allows my teams to debug the system. Observability is based on 3 pillars. Log centralization, metrics, and tracing. This talk is going to be focused in log centralization. Log centralization is logging a solved problem. Well, if you are in a standalone application, you write in a file the log you want, and then if you want to access your log, you use the tail command. That's it. That's enough. But today it's more common to write distributed applications or applications that works in isolated context. I'm going to call this isolated context containers. When I talk about containers, I'm not talking about Docker containers necessarily. I'm just talking about the definition of a container is a process, as an isolated process. Then when we work with containers, applications in containers, we can do the things the same way we did before. Because those containers may not have a permanent store. Then I have to think about transfer logs elsewhere. Maybe they are not accessible from a network address. So I need to think how to push logs from this container. Those containers are executed in machines. But there are not fixed mapping between the machine that is executing a container and the kind of container is executing. So I need to have some kind of tag for the logs my applications are producing. So how do engineering has solved this problem? Sorry, I have luck. Okay. Yeah, that's what engineer. There are four ways of solving this kind of problem. I can have my application in the container, and if the container allows, I can share a volume, for example, a Docker allows, and after that have some kind of a log collector that is going to read these logs and sending to a more centralized system. I can have the container, instead of the application, write the logs in a file. Maybe it's the container who is writing the logs in a file. And then the log collector system is going to send them in another centralizing system. This is the most common way to solve this problem today. And there are other ways to do that. For example, the container, the application sends the log directly to the log collector or the centralized system, or the container sends directly the logs to the log collector. So the most used solution is this one. We have applications that write logs. We have a log collector that sends the logs to a log centralization system, and then we request these logs and there are a lot of tools that allows me to do that. The most common tools used today is, for example, having a fluentbit or Logstash or promtail for log collection. If you have worked with Prometheus, for example, you know what promtail is, or with logs already, Logstash. It's a system that allows me to pre-process and collect those logs, then send them to a centralized system. This is some kind of database, for example, Loki or Elasticsearch. And then I can read those logs, request those logs using Grafana or Kibana. But before, we know where we are going to send those logs. We know we have to write those logs in a file. Now, how are we going to write those logs? For knowing that, I would like to see how is the anatomy of a log line. I should be able, I have the centralized system, I have my log in some kind of database, and when I have a problem, I need to be able to find the log, a log line that is going to help me to debug my system, and I should be able to interpret this log line and maybe have this log line in a specific context to help me interpret it. The logs are in a central system, so I need to find a way to be able to query the logs, to put them in a context, and that's why I need to structure my logs. For example, here you can see a log line. There was an error in line method wrong argument. As you see, log is a string. It has diverse information. For example, a name, process ID, and user and host, etc. we have one information per line. And when we are talking about logs, logs are a stream of lines. They don't have a specific start or end. I mean, if the application is running, it is producing logs. It's producing logs. So how do I structure this log line? We can have additional information about this log line. For example, the host where the application is running. I would like to know if this line, this log is for an error, it's just info, it's just something to help me debug. So it's a level. The line, a method, and a message. For me for helping me to be able to read these logs, I can add some labels. For example, here I have a host, level, method, and message. This is a log.fmt format. And if I, for example, parsing it using some kind of machine or process, I just can transform it in a JSON format, and it's quite simple to do that once we have a structure for my log. Well, we have my structure log. Then how do I write those logs? If you are writing a 12-factor application, they say, okay, find something standard to write the logs. Logs are a string, and the most standard thing to write strings of a string is the stdout or stdr. Sometimes it's not. When we are talking about microservice systems, maybe they are polyglot, so we have different languages. So that's why it's important to have something standard. Sometimes the stdout or stdr is not possible, not the standard, and we need to write logs to a file. So I would like to be able to change the output of my log just in configuration, because my application never should be concerned itself where is the log being root. It's just I just in my application as developer, I just want to write the message, and if it goes to a file or if it goes to the standard output, I don't want to know that. So I'm going to show you some tests, some demos, and I'm going to use this stack I have installed in my local machine. I have promtail. As I say, if you have worked with Prometheus, maybe you know it. It's a tool that allows you to take, in this case, logs and send them to Loki. Loki I'm going to use as the system of log centralization. Is something like Elasticsearch, but with the difference that it just it doesn't index all the text. It just index the labels, the tags, and I have all the text of my logs, and Grafana for showing you how it's going to do. So I'm going to start the demo, and I would like to have a feedback. Do you see my code? I don't think so.
I don't see code yet. I just see someone on the running on the log.
Okay, I'm going to stop the sharing the screen because I just going to share the code. I don't know how to share everything. Maybe over here. That's it. Here I have some examples. I'm going to start with the easiest one. When we are going to start to write a Go application, and I need to log, I use the standard library for it. Log, promtail, log. If I execute this, I see it prints the message in the standard output, and it adds a date and the message, a date and a message. If my container, if I need to use a file, what should I do if I want to use the standard way? I need to create a file for writing my logs. I need to create a writer, and then I can't start logging. If I create a login info, for example, that is a new. If I want to create the log, I just create a new log. I send the writer. I can add some information, some prefix, and print the log. If I do that, I'm going to write to this file, the log. Yeah, I have already some tests. Yeah, I have my log. It's okay, but it's not format. And if I want to format my logs, I have to go further. Maybe see I wrap my log. I can create, for example, some kind of a struct to handle the level, maybe handle the process ID, the application ID that is going to help me to identify which execution is unlogging and the message. And I can write some kind of wrapper, of function that is going to print in the format I want, and I can add the level of my log if I'm using this function. If I use the log I have just created, you see I have some kind of a structured log with level, the structure I used to create process ID and message, and a date. Just writing in the standard output, but I could go further and make the configuration for writing in a file and so on. But it starts to be a lot of code for me. I just want to change my log, my way of logging, just using some kind of configuration. I don't want to write by myself a framework log, because if I have a lot of process, I have a lot of things to think about. For example, if I'm writing in a file, the log of the file, if I'm going to write in bash, how I'm going to synchronize. There are a lot of things I don't want to think about when I just want to develop my core application that is I don't know, a web application. I don't know. Very used library, Logrus. Maybe it allows me go further. Logrus is a cool library. It allows me to change the format of my logs. For example, I'm going to change the format to write JSON. But if I want to write to a file or to the standard output, I need to change the writer. For example, here I have a Multiwriter to write in the standard output and in the file at the same time. If I run this, I have my file log rows, and I have all my logs for I have some info and some error logs. I'm going to see if I'm able to centralize those logs. So as I say, I use the promtail. I have here my configuration, my promtail configuration. It allows me to pre-process the logs. I can add tags. For example, for Lokis are labels. I am adding tag job backlogs. I use this as it. The path where I'm looking for the logs, everything ending by log. As I have a unstructured output, it's a JSON output, I can add some label from this output, the label and the application ID. So if I show you the grafana, I'm just going to browse for my logs, everything that is a backlog, and I'm going to, those are some tests I have done. And I say, well, here we have all the logs that I have done, but I can handle the last 5 minutes. We have here the last log I did. Info, classified by info and error, the two level I add in my configuration. But this is something that is still very, if I stay with Logos, it is something that is still very manual to do. And there are better things to help me handling the log. This is a good library. This is a very good library, but I need to go further. We have libraries like SAP, Serolog, that goes even further. They help me to just change using some kind of configuration, the output and the tags, the things I'm sending as contextual information to my logs. That's great because it's less things for me to worry about, and it's just configuration to change. If I use this configuration that I have here, just sending to the std out and stdr the error logs, and to this file. Here, and we have the logs. As it is writing here in the log file, it should be centralize all these logs. If I just can show you. I can change, for example, the application ID, filter for my application ID. The last application ID was this one. Just to see those logs I'm interested in. Sorry. You see nothing here. This was the F5. And with the FNF, this one. Let's see, show logs, and those logs, yeah, are those logs that I have here. I have here the message. And that's great. I have something that helped me to centralize, to structure my logs, and that helped. I have something else that helped me to centralize my logs. But there are also, for example, for Loki and promtail, there are some libraries that help me to push my logs directives in the centralization system. I'm just going to see how it works. It's also configuration. It allows me to configure where my logs are being sent. For example, for the info level, I'm going to send them. I'm going to print only the error and the info. And the debug, I'm not going to do anything about that. But the most important thing is just configuration. Just configuration. I don't have a file because I don't need. I'm going to send them directly to my log centralization. If I run that, I should be able to see my logs. Yeah, and I should be able. I'm sorry because I'm printing error, and I should be able to see those logs in my centralization system. I don't know if you see this screen, but it's quite. I just forget which application ID was that, but it doesn't matter. You can trust on me. They are same. They are not very well structured, but they are doing what I'm telling him to do. This is okay, but this has some disadvantages. For example, I'm locked with Loki and promtail. And as I say at the beginning, it's the same thing about the file. I don't want to be worried about where I'm going to send the log. Maybe it's an option. Maybe some applications need to do that. Maybe it's for some projects it could work. But if you want to stay standard, it's better to just to stay standard. As I had 20 minutes, I think that's all for me. Those are the demo or the demos I want to show you. I have the simple log that it does the work to write in the standard output, but I need to wrap and create a structs to start formatting. I need to code more for having something more structured. With Locros, it allows me to structure, but if I need to change the output, it's going to be a little more tricky. SAP or Serolog or frameworks more advanced, I think is a good frameworks. If you need to change the output type, if you need to log something more, more sophisticated way, if you are worried about if you need to print to log in batch or about performance or something like that, it's a good it's a good frameworks. They are good frameworks. If you have a promtail, it's okay. If you know that you are going to send all the time, if you're not going to change your logs system. And takeaway, it's important to structure your logs. You should add contextual information to your logs. For example, the application ID, the log level, log to the standard output if possible. When you write when you are logging, if you need to make a configuration for each log line, it's better to make some kind of encapsulation and develop yourself your framework, or use something existing. And use a log system that allows you to handle the output and the format, just changing the configuration is the most efficient way to handle your logs. And that's all for me. Thank you.